It is a difficult balancing act, as you said. I mean, it's actually a significant boost in spending. So what we saw is higher taxes, but also higher borrowing to add up to much higher spending. And what the government is trying to do, or is hoping will happen, is that these investments that they're going to make in UK public services are going to more than pay for themselves over time. And you're going to have positive spillover effect to the rest of the economy, which would lead to much faster growth, higher revenues, and that these things will more than pay for themselves. But there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical there. And you saw the Office of Budget Responsibility in the UK come out and say, well, you'll get some near-term sugar high from the additional spending, but that means the Bank of England is probably going to have to cut less than previously thought. That means private sector investments likely be crowded out later. And so overall, you might not be changing the economic picture as much as being hoped. Now, of course, that's just a separate forecast. A lot remains to be seen in how the rubber hits the road and what actually happens with these policies. But right now, that's what the government is hoping. But a lot of analysts are thinking, well, it's not going to be actually too much of a difference because of these offsetting effects of potentially higher interest rates and a crowding out of the private sector.
Yeah, so this is going to be happening. The BOE is going to be meeting and deciding on rates in a very, very busy, crowded, and noisy week next week, coinciding with the elections, November the 5th, of course, right? And, the betting odds are, I think odds are lower, less now that they are going to cut in November, although it seems to be still leaning that way. December, though, I think we're down to only about a 1 in 2 chance that the BOE is going to cut. Would you put it at that or differently?
Yeah, great question. As I said, I think, when you see what happened with market pricing, as you said, the odds of a November went down a little bit, but are still overwhelmingly in support of a cut. And given how high UK policy rates still are, I would be very surprised if they didn't at least cut in November. But I do think December is a high likelihood of a skip, given that they still have to digest this new plan that was put forward, which probably had more easing in it than they would have expected. There's also going to be a variety of other uncertainties in the global environment during that period. They may want to just assess how the economic recovery in the UK is moving along, how the global factors are moving along, and give themselves more time to process the details of this budget. So November, as I said, I'd be very surprised if we didn't see a cut. But I do think something like a 50-50 bet that they may skip December is very reasonable.